Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to DFS Zone, man. It's Manny here once again. We're gonna go over today's three-game slate in WNBA. I'm gonna give you four picks for today that you can utilize in your lineups, and of course, go over a few other players that I think you can definitely consider or at least put in your player pool today. But before I get started, like always, man, I appreciate you guys. Drop a like. That's gonna help the channel out, and of course, comment down below. I would love to hear back from you. Let me know what you think. What players are you targeting today, so on and so forth. Would love to interact with you guys. And of course, if you have not as of yet become a part of the DFS Zone community here, this is only my third video back. It is my third video back as I got back into WNBA just a couple of days ago. So I'm hoping to see some of those old viewers come back, and of course see some new viewers come aboard as well. But again, if you have not subscribed yet to the community, make sure you do so down below. Don't forget also to put on that bell icon. Turn that on so this way when I put up the videos, and now this is moving forward, videos are going to be for 3-game slates or higher. Anything above 3-game slates, I will do a video for. 2-game slates, maybe there might be possibility. If I have time here and there, I will probably do a 2-gamer, so I may surprise you with a 2-gamer here and there. Definitely no videos for 1-game slates. And that's pretty much it. So, hopefully that will help you guys out so you have an idea of what's going on. All right, let's get to it. So at guard today, we go over to the list here. Guards, up at the top, we got Diggins Smith, you got Ugumbawe, Vandersloot, Wheeler. There's a lot of good possible plays here. I think this is really a top a guard night tonight. If you ask me, I think the guards are going to be more in play as far as players that may have big games. Diggins Smith, as well as Vandersloot, Wheeler. All these girls are really going to have to step up tonight. But I'm going to go right to it so I don't kill a whole lot of time. The one player that I'm targeting right off the bat that I believe is going to be in a number, I'm going to do 5. I always do 5 or 6 liners. Oh, and another thing, the other day I did play and I came in 13th. I was in first place for a while there for the main event, which is the same one here, the give and go. The other night I pulled out $250. I pulled out $30. $250 was for MLB. That same night I played MLB DFS. I may be doing some MLB videos as well, but when I have time, because it's just so tough when you have a regular day's work. But I lost my chain of thought there. Yeah, so I won $30. I was in first place for a little while there in the last big event a couple of days ago. I don't know if anybody noticed that, but I finished 13th, won $30. Not too bad. I knew, because I didn't have nobody in the last game, the late night, I knew that I was going to be in trouble there. I wasn't going to hold that lead. I've been doing this long enough to know that. And I even went against my own wishes, because I always tell people, make sure you have a player or two in the last game of a slate. Tonight, I'm definitely going to have a player or two or more from the last game, because that game is going to be pretty interesting. But we'll get to that in a moment. So as far as today, I'm going to go with Diana Taurasi as my first pick here, that I think is someone you could definitely consider today. Taurasi at 6,300 is in a decent matchup here. She just came back from injury. She had that little chest issue or whatever. 31 minutes, 25 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists in her last game. She's averaging 17 the season with about 3.5 rebounds and 3.5 assists. She's a scorer, 26 fantasy points per game. So she actually she just put up a 30 spot. She also previously played one game against Minnesota earlier in the year, and she put up a 38 spot. So that was her best game thus far this year at 6,300. She is good for me. I think she's definitely good for 5X, which will give you 30, but she has 6X potential in this matchup. In the first game against so far this year, shooting 48% from the floor, 38% from 3, 91% from the foul line, 3 rebounds, 3.5 assists, 19 points per game, 27.4 fantasy points per game. Those are all at home. So that's her home record, her home splits. In that one game earlier this year, 38 points, 14 rebounds, 8 assists, 14 points, 8 rebounds, 5 assists, 3 steals. It was really a nice game for her over Minnesota with 38 points. So that was a great game for her. I really think she's in a good spot here again. She's just a lot of energy. This game is a tough game for Minnesota, because Minnesota is more a front court heavy team. They're definitely going to be more dominant. This is going to be the battle of the guards for Phoenix. who are the main contributors. If you look at them statistically, Phoenix gets a lot of their points from their backcourt, from their guards. And then from the front court is basically all Griner. Now that Bonner's not there, is all Griner. And this is a tough matchup for Griner today. Definitely is for her and Phoenix. But if Minnesota is going to stay in this game, and Phoenix and Minnesota are going to stay close in this game, it's going to be the battle of Phoenix's guards versus Minnesota's guards. And then, of course, vice versa. Can Griner hold off Collier and Fowles? And I don't think that's going to be the case. I think Minnesota up front is definitely stronger there. So, but anyway, going back to the guards, we got Diana Taurasi is definitely one of my picks. Then, of course, you have to choose somebody in the middle half. And before I even move on to forwards, in the guards, there's a lot of girls that I really think that you should definitely consider today, especially in the mid-level prices. Like, for instance, this LA-Las Vegas game. I mean, my take on it, my thoughts on this is that Wheeler, Sykes, and Cooper all got to ball out. They all going to have their fair share because LA is really, really small up front. They only got Zooey B. And that's not going to be enough. You know, it's going to be really tough for them to hang in there with Vegas. But I'm going to have exposure to that last game because you just should definitely have. And there's going to be some value you can get out of the LA. And those are going to be the value, not so much the value, but these are the girls you're going to have to target. LA to stay in this game against Vegas, they're going to need Cooper. They're going to need Sykes. And then they need Wheeler to really put up some big numbers and do a lot of dirty work, rebounds, assists. Get out there and defend, have some steals and blocks. We know Sykes is a good defender. Wheeler is so-so. Cooper seems like so far more of a scorer. So you get her scoring, you get the defense from Wheeler, and especially from Sykes, who can rebound, block shots, and steal. She's a much better defender. These girls I'm going to have some exposure to. I'm not necessarily putting them on this particular lineup that I'm sharing with you guys, but I wanted to let you guys know that those ladies you're going to have some exposure to tonight. At least one of them or maybe two of them, because that's the only way LA is going to be able to hold on and play against Vegas. Vegas's up front is going to be definitely stronger just with knowing you got Wilson there and you got Cam Page. That's going to be tough enough as it is. And then on top of that, they still have a pretty good backcourt with Gray and Young as well. But Los Angeles, the exposure will be there. And the same thing with Phoenix here. The Phoenix is going to be, they got the top tier three girls. They're going to have Taurasi, they have Diggins Smith, and they're going to also have Kelsey Plum. So, I mean, excuse me, not Plum. Sorry about that. I lost my chain of thought here. Diggins Smith, and why I can't remember the name right now. Oh, and Kia Nurse. How can I forget? Which used to be with the New York Liberty. Kia Nurse. So it'll be Taurasi, Diggins Smith, and Nurse. Those girls, you know, they got three pretty solid guards there. Phoenix going up against just, you know, McBride. You know. So anyway. My second choice for the guards today, I really do like Kayla Mcbride. Now, granted, her numbers don't look good if we look at them right now. Obviously, the numbers that really pop out at you is 4 straight games at 34+. She's averaging 12 points per game, 3.5 rebounds, 2 assists, nearly 22 fantasy points per game. At 5,005, she has 6-7x upside. She is capable of getting you 35, possibly even 40. So, but she needs to be able to hit her shots. If she hits her shots, she's going to be okay. She is a decent defender, can get some steals. I look at it with her, and I've always said it even when I did WNBA 2 years ago, when I promoted her in as far as someone to select for your lineups, it was more about how competitive she is. She loves these competitive games. She knows that she's going to have to ball out and play well today against these guys. So I think she's going to be a little pumped up to face, Phoenix and those, monster girls, all those three guards I mentioned. She's not been doing a whole lot as of late, only 14.5 fantasy points in 2 games. But prior to that, 27 plus in 2. And as you can see, she's been up at 34. She's been up at 32, 33 here. The last time she played Phoenix earlier in the year, she put up 33 spot. So she's done okay. 35 minutes, almost nearly a fantasy point per minute, 17, 6, 2, and 2. Again, that's what I'm looking at with her. We really need her to be able to put up some good numbers. Her splits away have been pretty decent. She's shooting well from the floor, 42%. Not as good from the 3-point stripe, 28%. From the free throw line, she's 18 of 18. She's been solid there with 3 rebounds, 2 assists, and 1 steal, 21 fantasy points per game. Again, she is good for 4x, possibly good for 5. She's capable of getting you 6x. So this thus far this year against Phoenix, that one game which you already discussed, she shot 45% in that game, 50% from three. Only took 2 shots, hit 1 of 2. She was fantastic from the free throw stripe. Went 6 for 6, 6 rebounds, 2 assists, had 2 blocks in that game, 17 points from the floor, as you can see there, and she also had 33 total fantasy points. So Kayla Mcbride is someone I'm going to add there. You need to have some balance there. But like I said, before I go to the forwards, these girls are in play. Plum, I definitely like her. If you don't like McBride, Plum is in a good spot as well. She's the third guard there for Vegas. She comes off the bench and she's just an energized bunny. Then over here for the Chicago, you got to consider Copper here. You got Mabry and Gray. Clarendon is definitely someone to consider here against Phoenix. They're going to need her help, So when it comes to Minnesota, it's going to come down to Clarendon and McBride. I'm just choosing McBride here, but Clarendon is in play as well. When you look at the mid-tier in the Chicago game, you're looking at under 6,000. You got to consider DeShields, Copper. You got Mabry. You got Quigley under 5. Okay, definitely someone to consider. And then when you go to the Vegas-LA game, it's like I said, right here, 5,600. Love Cooper. She's going to be in my lineups. I think we definitely have to have some exposure from the Spark. Kelsey Plum is definitely in play. Williams is in play. And then if you want to go even cheap, under 4,000, the only one under 4 here tonight will be Samuelson, in my opinion. All right. So that's where we at there at forward. So when we look at forward at the top, man, well, we got Griner, we got Wilson, we got Fowles, we got Parker, Collier, Cambage. Man, that is pretty heavy up there front. All these girls are pretty high priced. Obviously, Cambage stands out at me at 7,400. She's cheaper. Collier, Parker, Fowles, Wilson. These girls are all in good spots. I think Griner is going to really have a tough time. She's going to have to grind really, really hard tonight. I think it's going to be tough for her to put up 45, 50. But then again, that's the way the game's got to be played. You just never know. That's the whole probability of it. But the numbers are showing that, chances are it's going to be a tough go for her to deal with Falls or with Collier up front. So I'm going to like the Minnesota guys. I do like Wilson and Cambage as well. My only concerns there is can LA's backcourt hang in there? Like I said before, can they hang in there long enough to be able to give these girls a chance to put up some serious numbers? So I will have exposure to Wilson in one lineup or so. I do think Cambage at 7,400 and saving 1,400 might be a better option. But I like the Minnesota front court against Phoenix. I think the game is going to be competitive. Phoenix backcourt is going to hold in there. I think McBride is going to try to keep the game close with her and Clarendon for Minnesota. So I like Fowles and I like Collier. I'm going to have exposure to each one of them in separate lineups. But for the video's sake, I know she's probably going to be maybe more between the two. Probably going to be more higher owned. But I'm going to go with Sylvia Fowles. Sylvia Fowles is coming in here. She is averaging 17 points per game, nearly 10 rebounds, almost 2 assists, 41 fantasy points per game, 8,600. She is good easily for 6x in this matchup, but as you can see, she has 8x upside. She is capable of getting you some big numbers. Her last 2 games, 37 plus in minutes, which is outstanding. That's a lot of minutes. And actually, let me see what was here on Fantasy Cruncher. I want to see what her usage was. Yeah, she's average. Her usage rate is at 30 and 31% over those last 2 games. Look at the shots. 20 shots from the floor, 16 the game before that, 13 rebounds, actually 14 and 19. She has had 2 double-doubles and is averaging 26 plus points from the floor. The only thing is a little dangerous about Fowles and Collier is the fouls. If they can stay out of foul trouble, they'll be on the court a little bit longer. She was just barely able to stay in this game. But look at that, 4, 5. She has had 9 blocks in the last 2 games and 11 in the last 3. So, she is definitely someone that can really roll up the fantasy points for you. As you can see, 68 and 73 in the last 2 games. When we look at her splits, she's been pretty good, 44% from the floor, 94% from the free throw line. She's an excellent free throw shooter, 10 rebounds per game, which is above her average. She's has 4 assists, 1 block, 1 steal, averaging 21 points from the floor and 43 fantasy points per game. She had that 1 game against the Spark early in the year. She shot 60%, 6 of 10 from the floor. Went to the foul line, hit all 5 of her shots, 5 of 5, 8 rebounds, 2 assists, 3 blocks, 1 steal, 17 points from the floor, and a total of 38 fantasy points. So, I expected to put more points than that, especially right now, the way she's been playing. But again, I mean, if you don't have no exposure to Fowles, you definitely should have exposure to Collier. I mean, that's just my opinion, So she's in play for me, and like I said, Collier is in play. Obviously, like I said, also I will have in some other lineups. I think A'ja Wilson and Cam Page, either one of the two, should be in play. And if you can get somehow some value somewhere, and you can be able to get two of these monsters in there, why not? If you can get Fowles and Collier in there, or actually not Fowles and Collier, how about Fowles or Collier and Cam Page? Maybe getting Cam Page and Collier in there would be nice because they're lower price girls that have tremendous upside. That's definitely an option. Then of course you got to go down to the bottom. You guys, girls like Hamby might get some exposure if this game gets a little out of hand. She'll be on the court a little bit more. Also, if the girls get into foul trouble like Cam Page, Hamby usually comes in and gets more. But Zooey B is gonna have to step up, and she's the next girl that I definitely will have some exposure to. Her numbers are not gonna look pretty over the last three. She had squeezed in here in between a 35 spot between a 14 and 7. But she's averaging 33 minutes per game, 10 points, pretty much 5.5 rebounds, under 1 assist a game, 23 fantasy points at 5,400. For 4X, she's good for 4X. She can get you 20. And yes, you can see here the numbers show that. But she's also capable of getting you possibly a 40. So that's 8X. So at this price tag, she is definitely someone with some upside who can get you 7 or 8X in a matchup like this where they're going to need her rebounding, her physicality. That's what I am targeting here with Spark, especially and also in the late game. Try to get someone in there in the late game, but at 5,400, she is definitely someone you can consider. We're looking at here. She's also had her splits not too bad at all. 44% field goal percentage, 94% from the free throw line, 10 rebounds per game, which is over. As a matter of fact, I am looking at the wrong numbers. Sorry. Zooey B's shooting percentage, 43% from the floor, 32% from 3, 81% from the free throw line, averaging 5.5 rebounds a game, 1.5 blocks and 1 steal, 11 points and 23 fantasy points per game. She has not faced the Vegas Aces this year. She's going to need to step up. I mean, this is a game that she's going to need to step up. So Zooey B. So those are the 4 I'm looking at right now that I would love to share with you guys. But again, I've also shared with you a number of others that I really, really, truly believe you should definitely have in your player pool. And then maybe do a little bit more research. Look at how the teams have done with efficiency, pace, and other, statistical data that you can look at, and then narrow it down a little bit more. I like these matchups right now at this very moment. Some of them may change to some of the ones I mentioned. Let me go and give you a couple more girls that I think you can definitely consider here. Like I said, Hamby is someone to consider. Harrison at 4,900 under 5. Other than that, I mean, at the bottom here, under 5,000, you got Dawson and Thornton. They've been around for a while. Dantes at 3,800 will probably be the cheapest person that I would consider in any one of my lineups. If I need to squeeze her in this lineup to get someone else where he's going to boost me up, she's definitely someone you can consider, 3,800. I mean, she's been playing massive minutes, 29 plus in the last 2. And of course, she had one big game here, scoring from the floor, 23 points, has been up here in the 27 fantasy points, averaging 15. And at this, that's 5X. If you get her at 38, 5X, 6X, she's capable of getting you 6X to even 7X at that price tag. So she is definitely someone that you can consider as a value. Down in the lower half, I don't know about too much about Park. No, I don't see anybody else there. The least, the 2 that you can consider at this price tag under 4 would be Stevens and Dantes. And I think Dantes is the better option here, especially in a matchup against Phoenix, especially if Collier and Fowles get into any trouble. She's coming in and she's going to spell some relief, especially if these girls commit too many fouls and they're, on the bench more. And that's pretty much it. That is pretty much it, ladies and gentlemen, man. So again, we got Taurasi McBride in that matchup in the Minnesota-Phoenix game. And then we got Fowles and Zooey B going up against the 2 monsters of Vegas and Cam Page and A'ja Wilson. And like I said, I will have some exposure to that Vegas game. My own concern with the Vegas game is it being a blowout. I mean, Vegas overall, they are a very strong team. They play up in pace a little bit. LA is more of a team that plays more of a half-court game, really slows down the game. They don't score a whole lot of points, and they normally don't give up a lot of points. They're pretty decent defensively as an overall unit, but they, with the Gumake sisters out, they're really going to struggle up front. So that backcourt is going to have to definitely do a lot of the legwork, a lot of the work for them to stay in this game. And those are girls that you're going to have exposure to in your lineups. But there's, like I said, there's a lot of girls, a lot of players here under 6K. And this 5,700 down: Shields, Cooper, McBride, Plum, Copper, Zooey B, Hamby, Mambry. These girls, Clarendon, all the way up to 5,200, even Coffee. But I would say all the way to Clarendon. These girls right here in the middle, you can definitely get 2 or 3 of those girls in your guard spots. And then you can load up in the front court, or vice versa. Load up on the guards. Go a guard, load today, because a lot of these teams are going to need these guards to really ball out. Like Wheeler is going to have to ball out. Sykes, Grays, these girls, especially Sykes and Wheeler, and Cooper for LA. I really think those are the girls you could definitely target, because they're going to need to score. But that's basically it, man. So good luck tonight, man, with your lineups. Let me know what you think. Comment down below what your thoughts are on some of the girls today. Who's your favorites? What are you playing? So on and so forth. And again, if you have not subscribed to the channel as of yet, make sure you do so down below. And don't forget to put on those post notifications. This way you don't miss out on any of these, WNBA picks. All right, I'll see you guys on the next 3 Gamer. Peace out.